Alrighty, we should be live, which we are. So, yep, um, this is going to be something a little different. I thought we would do a live stream, which will be a story time live stream. This is going to be mainly me reading stories, like on a live stream or something, because, I thought, what, I'll try this, just to see if anyone likes it, and yeah. So this is going to be story time, well, with the stream with the Lion Queen. So this means that when I do a live stream, I will read any story that, that I see. So basically, when I get more people in here, I will go over, certain rules and that, because for those who are new to the stream, or for those who who want to be a part of the series, who want to, well, not just be part of the series by being in the live chat and hearing it or whatever, but I just want to say, hello there, Tom Me 4000. How are you doing? Okay. So, once I get more people coming here, I'll explain why I haven't been able to stream again in August. Yeah. I've been through so much shit. It just really took a toll on me. So, I guess with that being said, hello, Danish Kumar. How are you doing? So, you know what, Danish Kumar? I think I'm going to make you a moderator. There we go. You're now a moderator for my channel. So, once I start getting more people in here, I'll start explaining, why I haven't been able to stream. I think there are main reasons. Ooh, moderator. Yep. Be sure to leave a like on this video if people have not do so. Be sure you leave a like on the video. Hello, Colton. How are you doing? That's awesome. Hello, Austin Thompson. How are you doing? So, welcome to my first episode live stream called, well, I've done a couple live streams before, but this is a good special occasion. It's called Storytime Live Stream with the Lion Queen, which basically mean I be reading stories online. Like, it could be creepypastas, fan fictions, funny pastas, whatever. But I do have a couple set of rules. Most of you guys know to follow them, so I won't be concerned. But for those who want to suggest to me to read a story from somewhere, I do have some things that I will not read. So, anyways, I'm gonna get more people. Oh, that's good. You're doing good, Austin. Hello, CJB Studios. How are you doing? So, yep, this is Storytime live stream with the Lion Queen. Now, this episode, I am going to be sitting there and, you know, I'm going to first start off with explaining why I have not been able to, stream last month. Well, I streamed on my birthday, but I was going to stream again sometime later last month, but unfortunately, I did not ever get the chance to do it. And I'm going to be explaining a little bit. Bows to the Lion Queen. Why, thank you. Hello, Xeranex. How are you doing? Oh, that's good, CJB Studios. Been watching rocket launches on YouTube. Oh, that was something I've always liked to do before I started becoming a creepypasta narrator. And this was back when I was in my early teen years. I used to watch random videos, and that was one of them. So, this is the first episode of Storytime with me. So basically, I will be reading any story. Basically, there are some things I will not narrate on this stream because there's obvious reasons, but most of you guys seem to know, following the rules, like being respectful and all that. So, yeah. Is this stream gonna stay up? Yes it is. CJB Studios. It's a storytime stream, so obviously it's gonna stay up. So, okay. Now, the reason why I haven't streamed in the past couple the reason why I haven't streamed the second time last month is because my for those who have not seen my community post, on August 16th, my dog Bear unfortunately passed away. So I didn't feel like streaming because I needed some time to grieve in that, because we all know losing an animal is pretty tough. Hello, Akazi Pink Wolf, welcome. But I also do want to say that that when it came to I have a short story. One day a man got raided by federal agencies for making blueberry muffins. Well, that's like a mini story, but it's still a pretty good one, Zeronex. So, blueberry muffins are actually pretty good. I think I like chocolate chip ones a lot better. So, if you guys are curious, I did put a pinned comment saying that he had internal bleeding. How my dog had internal bleeding, my mom and I think that it must have been cancer, because he did have a hard bump on his snout. In June, when we saw that, we thought it was a bug bite or something, but we didn't get him to the vet to have it tested for cancer. So we weren't sure if it was a bug bite or not. But it hasn't been going down or anything. And he didn't yelp when it was a bug bite. So we were obviously pretty confused. So as we were confused about the whole thing and that, we were very confused. My mom and I thought that maybe my mom and I weren't sure, but so fast forward to, I guess, sometime in early August, my dog started being picky with his food, and we thought, and he had a seizure sometime, which when he's about to seize, he doesn't usually eat very much. If that makes any sense. I mean, the vet told me and my mom that no one would look after a special needs dog with issues in that. They probably just, abandon the puppy. Thankfully, though, mom and I would never do that. And when my dog was picky with his food, the last food he had was on the Saturday, the week on my birthday. He had his last meal was a Happy Meal from McDonald's. So we thought maybe he just was picky. But the thing was, though, is that he was bleeding from his lip. And mom and I thought he cut himself or something, but we couldn't really see where it was cutting. And if my mom and I had the money and got that bump tested, and if it was cancerous because it was hard, it must have been cancer, we would have been given probably just some painkillers for it or something. But when my dog started bleeding from his lip, he started being more picky. But he also started peeing in the hallway. When he started peeing in the hallway, that's not like my dog, because my mom and I thought we weren't taking him out, and that's why he did that. But I think he was trying to tell me and my mom that he wasn't feeling good, and that could be why he was peeing in the hallway, because that's not like Bear. Bear never did that. So Monday night, he was acting fine, but when I took him out for one last pee before bed, he wouldn't go pee. He was just standing there, and I thought, well, maybe he didn't have to go, so I brought him back up to my mom's room. But then the next night, the next morning, which was Tuesday, I woke up and I ended up going to my mom's room because I haven't seen Bear down here. My dog was just lying on the floor in my mom's room, he couldn't get up. Like, he was trying to get up, like sitting up to get up, but for some reason he was extremely lethargic. His gums were really pale pink, although they have stopped bleeding. So my mom and I got him to drink a little bit of water, not a whole lot, but just a little bit of water. And when he did drink a little bit of water, he wasn't doing good. So my mom called the vet, and the vet said to bring him there because his breathing wasn't doing good. So my mom and I, along with my brother, we put him in a blanket and we lifted him all the way to the van. By the time we got there, I stayed there to say goodbye to him and same with my brother. And then my mom showed up and said goodbye. And unfortunately, he didn't make it to the vet or anything. He died, with me, my mom, and my brother around him in the van. So, yeah, it was a very upsetting day. I was like in tears on the car ride to the vet. I was literally in tears because he was my first dog. How we found out it was internal bleeding, we found out that it was that he was bleeding from his butt. So, because we saw a bit of blood stain coming out of his butt from the blanket because the vet took a look at it. And yeah, he had internal bleeding. So when he had that bump on his snout, we believe it must have been, since it must have been cancerous, it must have spread to his internal organs and caused internal bleeding in them, which could be why my dog just was game over, basically. So, yeah. So, unfortunately, yeah. That's why I hadn't streamed the second time in August, was because I was dealing with the loss of my dog. It's been almost a month, but hey, I'm still going okay. So, yeah. All right. Anyways, with that being the case and with that being said, that's just reason why. For those who haven't seen my community post about my dog passing away and that, or don't have access to the community post, now they know why. So, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, I'm glad you, CJB Studios, and everyone on this channel have felt sorry for me and sending my condolences to me, which I'm grateful that you guys understand, why I haven't streamed for the second time since my birthday. So, yeah, I'm still grieving for my dog, but, at least he was my first dog, so my very first one. He had a lot of issues, but I looked after him. Opinion on Total Drama? Total Drama, I haven't watched that show in years, but I would have to say it was a pretty damn awesome show, although I haven't watched it in a while, so. Here's a funny joke. How do you get a squirrel to like you? I don't know, Austin. Yes, this stream is staying up, CJB Studios. Just to let you know. In case you didn't hear me for the first time. I still need help with my sequel to Lucy Loud's Halloween. I could suggest maybe, maybe you could do a poem on Lucy about, how she, liked Halloween or what she liked about it and stuff. Just a kind of suggestion. But although you could maybe look online how to get ideas. Remember the time Annoying Orange show that got its show on Cartoon Network? Oh, I remember that actually. But anyways, I'm just hang on a second. The answer, act like a nut to get it. All right. Now, back with the story time. Sorry for getting sidetracked, but I just wanted to give, a bit of description on why I didn't stream in a long time. Because I was going to stream for the second time near the end of August, but unfortunately, due to the death of my dog I was dealing with, I had to, hold off on stream until I felt better. But yeah, I just wanted to get this story out there for those who are confused or for those who are wondering why. If that makes any sense, basically. So, now on with this series called Storytime with Lioness. Now, I am going to be explaining a couple things about it before we get started. So, there are things I will not narrate. There are things that I will narrate. I will narrate pretty much any story. It could be creepypastas, fan fictions, funny pastas, whatever. You guys, it could be stories you guys wrote, stories I wrote, or anything like that. So, I'm gonna definitely say right now, I could read basically funny pastas, creepypastas, fan fictions, whatever you guys prefer to call it, or whatever you guys prefer, to see or anything. It depends. Thanks. I might make a video asking others to help me. Also, 15 more days until your 10th anniversary. Yeah, this channel I started back in 2012, but it was just a random commenter channel. I didn't have plans to upload much, but I did upload some random cringy videos back then. And then shortly after that, I started getting the creepypastas around sometime in 2017, but I didn't become a narrator until like late 2018, early 2019. I started becoming a creepypasta narrator. Well, a narrator basically in general, which brings me to here. Like, I don't know where would I be if I didn't if I wasn't a narrator. Like, I would have been maybe doing some other stuff. That's what I probably would be doing right now. So, I guess with that being said, all right, on with the things that with the story time. Now, there are stuff I will not narrate. I will not narrate anything that is NSFW, which means 18 plus themes. However, if it involves characters going at it and there's like they dive into too much detail, that I will not narrate. Because knowing, YouTube's strict now on NSFW stories, I can't narrate those type of stories. If stories do have violence as well as cussing in it, that's fine. I don't have a problem if it has violence, cussing, use of firearms or that. But if it does involve two people going at it and it goes into too much detail on that and it's very NSFW, those stories I will not narrate. I will not narrate certain things that involve pretty disgusting stuff, like disgusting fetishes and stuff like that. That I will not narrate. Like, if a story has toilet humor, it's fine, but kind of depends though on the story. Are you still excited to see my logo video for you on that day? Oh yeah, I'm excited for that. Although I probably won't be at the premiere because the time it's being premiered, I'm probably going to be most likely sleeping. So, yeah. Just want to say that, CJB Studios. Well, Lost Trust by Red Hood doesn't go too much detail, just so you know. Okay. So, stories like that should be fine. They should be fine on my channel. Another thing I will not narrate is if there's any incest in any stories, those I will not narrate either. I will not narrate any of those. Like, anyone that suggests me to read a Loudcest story, no. I'm not narrating that story. Any stories with that, or incest in general. That's another thing I will not narrate. If you want to, CJB Studios, but that's just your choice. Hey, Greentails, how are you doing? I will also not narrate any stories that, that are stories I do not really care for. Like, for example, Sweet Apple Massacre. That story is out of the question. Dipper Goes to Taco Bell, out of the question. So don't ask me to narrate any shock stories. Those are another thing I will not narrate as shock stories. So shock stories are out of the question. Another thing I will say is I will not narrate the Loud House the Virus series, mainly because the ending of it kind of sucks. Well, it does suck in many ways because I get it that the author lost interest in the story, but they could have had either write a better ending or a conclusion to it, or they could have do something else, if that makes any sense. But that's just here or there. I usually wake up around 11, between 11 and 11:30, CJB Studios, so, yeah. I also want to say, oh yeah, the Loud House Virus series, the ending of it is not that great from what I've heard, and I've read it, and that's a story I'm not going to narrate, so people, if you are going to suggest me to read the Virus series, just note that that's out of the question. If that makes any sense. So, yeah. And another thing too, if it's a story I've already done on my channel, and if it's a story I've already done on my channel, like whatever it be 2 years ago, last year, this year, or whatever, I have no problem narrating it again for a stream. If it makes any sense. So, yeah. That's another thing I want to point that out. So, I guess with that being said, I think we should get started with the I guess stream. Well, story. I'm not sure what story I want to do. I do want to do one of my stories. It could be The Loud's Great Adventure or Scooby-Doo and Dead Frontier. So I am going to probably put like some sort of a poll or something. But I guess I'll just do this. So, yeah, hold on. Okay. Sorry about that. I just had to check on something. You know what, guys? Hold on. Let me just, I'm just trying to think of whatever story. I did have Scooby-Doo and Dead Frontier, but that story took me about a few years to complete. Like, Scooby-Doo and Dead Frontier. I started writing it back in 2019, but I completed it sometime this year in May of 2022, so that's a really good accomplishment that I completed this year, was to complete that story. So, I'm trying to think of whatever story I want to narrate. Let me see. I'm trying to think here. I know there's a couple other stories I do want to do. The Dunkin' Donuts story. Oh yeah, I might actually try and narrate that if I can, Zeronex, and I do apologize for not getting to it sooner or something. I will try and get to your story. It's just I get a lot of requests in that, so yeah. Hey Angry Juicebox, what you doing? What's up? Okay. I'm trying to think of whatever story to narrate, because I could do The Loud's Great Adventure, or I could do, I'm trying to think of another story that I want to do, that I can do as well. Here's my experience in school. I was picked on so badly that I waited for school to end, so I had to drop off off school. Oh, that sucks. Well, I was bullied too, so yeah, you're not the only one. There's my suggestion in the comments. If you guys want me to read Loud's Great Adventure, let me know. If you guys want me to read one of my Scooby-Doo creepypastas, like it could be the Zombie Island one, which is Ghost, Alien Invaders, the Dead Frontier one, or it can be the Hex Girls Fury. In some photos, I look like I'm 6 feet tall, but I'm actually 5'10". Oh, well, I'm actually pretty. Well, that's interesting. I know Mr. Haunted's almost 7 feet tall, because I remember in a stream he said he's almost that tall because somebody asked him. So, okay, guys. Which story do you guys want me to narrate? Do you want me to narrate The Loud's Great Adventure or one of my Scooby-Doo creepypastas? Let me know in the chat. Hello, Whack-A-Mole. Welcome. Yoinks! The Scooby-Doo pastas. Alright. Alright, I'm just gonna wait and see if anyone else wants me to do the, Alright, guys, do you want me to read one of the Scooby-Doo pastas, or do you want me to narrate The Loud's Great Adventure? Alright, I'm seeing that more people are voting for Scooby-Doo. People need to stop requesting creepypastas of the formidable robot. Yeah, I kind of don't request them stories or anything. But I'm not going to request him to get to one of my stories, but if he wants to get to one of my stories, I can let him know that I have a good variety of couple stories like Scooby-Doo Zombie Island. If he wants to narrate it, that's fine, but I'm not saying he has to because, I think the reason why he's trying to tell people to stop requesting people. Unlike Robot, I allow requests. Nice. Unless the pasta is cliche. Yeah, it's understandable. That's a very understandable reason. So, since most of you guys really want me to do a Scooby-Doo pasta, which one do you guys want me to do? Do you want me to do Zombie Island, which is Ghost, or Alien Invaders? Which one of the free Scooby-Doo pastas you want me to do? I have a younger half-brother who loves Scooby-Doo. Oh, that's nice. Which creepypasta do you want me to start off with for Scooby-Doo? I've got my Zombie Island one. I got the Alien Invaders one. I got, which is Ghost. I also do know there's that Lost Scooby-Doo creepypasta that I did narrate on my channel. So, yeah. Which one do you guys want me to read? If I'm going to narrate that one Park Boys pasta I made in early 2019, I will go on a full rage rant on it. I can tell you that. Well, we've all made bad stories here and there, so that's that. Okay. I'm going to be reading the Zombie Island creepypasta. So, yeah. For those who are moderators, if any troll comes on here while I'm reading, you guys know to block them if they start spamming or start saying stuff like, I don't know, racial slurs, calling anybody that, saying, "Oh, I do this to people." Yeah. There you go, Whack-A-Mole. You are now a moderator. So, alright, I'm going to get my glasses on and we'll get started on reading. So, moderators, you know what to do if someone comes on here and they start spamming or anything. So, I have my phone right here, so I'll be able to keep an eye on the chat too. So, but you mods know what to do. So, let me just find my Scooby-Doo Zombie Island. I mean, that's a really good one a lot of people like. A lot of people like the Zombie Island one. Okay, I'm just gonna... You guys seem to like the Zombie Island one. I mean, it's not the best story in the world, but hey, it was still a pretty damn good pasta I wrote back in 2019. I might do a revised version of it in the future, like a rewrite, but who really knows, to be honest? I really don't know. I know we've been, talking and chatting for 30 minutes, but here's what I'm going to mainly do when it comes to streams before I get started on reading is I chat for a little bit just for people to come online. I chat with them for a bit, and then I will get started with reading. So, yeah. Greetings, Earthlings. Hello, Juicebox Arts. Welcome. So, anyways, let me get started with this story, and, yeah, let's get going. So, alrighty. I'm gonna read the Wizard of Oz. If I'm gonna read the Wizard of Oz, that story, I will probably criticize that story. If you want to do that, Angry Juicebox, that's fine. I mean, that story was one of the worst stories I've ever wrote. Like, I wrote it back in 2017, and now looking at it, I laugh sometimes of how dumb it was of me to sit there and write it. I mean, that was back when I used to watch Andal. I mean, I know Andal's back to making creepypastas, but I guess he doesn't upload frequently anymore, which is understandable. So, anyways, let's begin with this story. Being the kid in the early 2000s, I've grown up with shows from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and even the early 2000s. I was born in 1997, and I had a great childhood. I lived in Tallahassee in Florida, and still living there as of today. I've happened to be a 22-year-old woman who could watch movies whenever I have nothing else to do. On top of that, I have happened to be a big fan of Hanna-Barbera cartoons. I've grown up watching them as a kid. So did my parents and my older brother, who is now 24, born in 1995. The Hanna-Barbera cartoons everyone in my family, including myself, have grown up with shows that they have. The shows we all watched were the Flintstones, the Jetsons, Yogi Bear, etc. But one of our most favorite shows was Scooby-Doo. My family and I have watched most of the Scooby-Doo shows and movies since the 1970s to 2010. The reason for that being is that Scooby-Doo shows and movies nowadays to 2019, it's just not the same as we all remembered. The best Scooby-Doo movie I would watch as many times as a kid I liked was Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. The movie is about Scooby and the gang all going to Moonscar Island. That is in Louisiana, to be filled with zombies and other fucked up things happen while the gang stayed there. I happened to see an early version of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island back in 2017. And it all happened in April, a month after my 20th birthday. It was April 8th, and I was driving my car around the street in Tallahassee, in Florida. I was looking for an apartment for my brother, who will be renting it for when he was going to go to college. He will be with other college students, and everything was included in what comes in the rent and all that. As I was driving, I spotted a coffee shop, so I decided to stop and grab a cup of coffee. As I got in my car and walked inside the coffee shop, I grabbed a cup of coffee and a donut. And as I was heading back to my car, I looked to my left side to see a man who was around my age. He parked his car. He looked at me as I looked at him. He looked at me with a smile on his face as he spoke. "Well, isn't this today a nice day?" he asked me. "Yeah," I replied nervously. "How are you today?" I asked him. "Really good. What brings you here today?" the man asked me. "My name is Otis, and I live in Jacksonville, Florida." "I see. What brings you here, Otis?" I asked Otis, as he locked his car and then walked over to me. "To visit family that I have down here. I have stopped here to get a coffee," Otis replied. As soon as we got into conversation about things we liked, when I mentioned that I liked Scooby-Doo, we talked more into details about what the Scooby-Doo movies were my favorite. I mentioned that Zombie Island to him, and he looked at me with a reply with that it was his favorite movie as well. I tried to get the DVD on Amazon, but when I got the DVD, it didn't work. I used to have the movie on VHS until my VCR broke down. I said to Otis, and then I also mentioned I was looking for the movie everywhere, but I couldn't find it anywhere. Have you tried the iTunes store on your phone? Otis asked me. I do have an iPhone 7 at this time, but don't use iTunes that much, I replied. But I'm willing to try. Otis then gave me an iTunes card, which had $25 on it. iTunes has a lot of good stuff. Google Play isn't really my favorite for some reason, Otis replied. As I opened the car, Otis then looked at me with a smile. Search up Scooby Doo on Zombie Island when you get home, he said to me. You should be able to find it there. When I got back to my house, my brother David greeted me home. He gave me a hug as I returned the hug. Found any luck? David asked me. Yeah, there's an apartment that is available for rent for college students, I replied to my brother. I booked you there to see the landlord next week, and the time is at 10 a.m. All right, thanks, Belle, David replied to me as he had my coffee and then walked to my bedroom. It was around 5 p.m., and my parents were working at this time, so I went to my bedroom and sat down on my bed, which I went to the iTunes store on my phone, redeemed my iTunes store credit, which I had $30 since I saved up $5 from the last time I used the iTunes store. Then I searched up Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island and waited a minute for the search results. When I found that Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island movie was on the list, I noticed that below of it was I was looking for, there was a copy of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. I took a look at it and it said Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island 1997. Wait, what? There must have been a mix-up or something else rather weird. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island came out in 1998, not 1997. I had to do some research on my laptop about the movie. When I searched the movie on Google, I went to Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island Wikipedia page for more info on the movie. I then found out that the movie was being made around 1997 and early 1998, and then it was released on September 22nd, 1998. I decided that I would look at the reviews of this 1997 version of the movie before getting to the movie fee. One of the reviews I saw they rated 1 out of 5 stars. One of the comments said, very dark and too violent for kids. Another comment said, why did they make this version of the movie be more scarier than the original of it? I ignored the comments, thinking that there would be more comments, but there were only 2 comments, but that was just it. I downloaded the movie and I plugged in my earbuds on my phone. As I looked at the screen, to my surprise, the cover was a bit different. The cover had Scooby, Shaggy, Velma, Daphne, and Fred on it. It also had Lena, Simone, and Jacques on the front cover, along with some zombies in the background. After the movie was finished downloading, I played the movie, and it all started with the intro of the movie. The intro starts off with the gang solving a mystery, as they usually do in every Scooby-Doo movie, with the theme song playing in the background. When the gang solve their mystery as usual, the screen then transitions to Daphne sitting in front of a talk show host. And that's how we solve the mystery of the Moat Monster, one of our most frightening mysteries. Everyone clapped for Daphne and the talk show host, although she cringed at the story. No wonder why you became a reporter, the talk show host said to Daphne. That Moat Monster almost sliced you up into a pizza. And then we wouldn't have Coast to Coast with Daphne Blake. Going on 2nd season, I might add. I'd never miss it. Thanks, Chris. Daphne smiled at the talk show host. Why I started this career was the fact that the monsters we solved, they were always turned out to be bad guys wearing costumes. Got a little boring, eh? Chris asked. Daphne giggled. No kidding. In fact, that's why the gang went their separate ways, Daphne replied, except for Fred and me. With that being said, the scene then shows Shaggy and Scooby watching Daphne on TV with their own show. They soon sighed in sadness as the gang went their own separate ways. So Shaggy and Scooby continued with their job until they walked into a room full of food. The next scene shows Velma working at a bookstore. When she sighed and looking at the TV show showing Daphne in her show, the phone rang and she answered it. Hello? Velma answered the phone. She then noticed that Fred was on the phone. Freddy? Jinkies! Sounds great! Count me in! Velma cheered. When the next scene shows Shaggy and Scooby, whom they both got fired after eating all the confiscated food in the airport office area, Shaggy answered the phone when it rang. Hello? Shaggy answered on the phone. Fred? Zoinks! Busy? Nah. Scooby and I were just taking some time off. Brea! Scooby replied. The scene transitions to Daphne standing in front of her house when Fred pulled up to her house. Sorry I'm late, Daph. The traffic was brutal, Fred said as he stepped out of the van. I was starting to like this version of the movie. It was just like the original version of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, just like from what I've remembered. When Fred opened the back door of the van, Velma, Shaggy, and Scooby shouted, Surprise! It was Daphne's birthday, so the gang all hugged her. Thanks, you guys, Daphne smiled. Gosh, it's great to see you all. I hope you don't mind, but I asked the gang to come along, Fred replied, as Daphne hugged her best friend. Thanks, Fred. This is the best birthday ever, Daphne replied, as Scooby licked their faces. It's great to see you too, Scoob, Fred chuckled. Then Velma showed Shaggy and Scooby a box of Scooby snacks that they couple had a few snacks, but they were a bit stale. We're going to New Orleans to solve a mystery in Louisiana, Fred announced. New Orleans have some of the best foods in the world, Daphne added, and the best ghosts, Velma also added. I hope so, Daphne replied. Well, let's get going. Hold it. There's just one more thing. Fred then revealed the Mystery Machine logo by pulling off Daphne's TV show banner off of it. Yes, Velma cheered. Mystery Inc. is back in business. So with that being said, the gang all go out to solve real ghosts and monsters, but with no luck. As you could tell, the ghosts and monsters they find are just people in costumes. Daphne was bummed out by this, as she and the gang were in Louisiana and New Orleans. I've got a show to do. I need a real-life ghost, Daphne said. I want a house that is really haunted. There is. A voice of a woman said, I work there as a maid, and the house is really haunted in Moonscar Island. Jinkies, Velma said. She was amazed and surprised. My name is Lena Dupree, Lena said, introducing herself. Fred Jones, Fred replied, and this is Velma Dinkley and Daphne Blake. Moonscar Island? Daphne asked in confusion. Where's that? It's in the bayou, not far from here. A pirate named Moonscar died on the island, and his spirit is said to haunt the place, Lena replied. Nah, that's just fake, Fred brushed off. It's pretty much just some guy in a pirate costume just to scare the others off. The ghost is real, if you're too scared to go, Lena replied. If you want to check it out, I'll be leaving as soon as I finish shopping. The way Lena said those lines sounded like she was flirting with Fred. Lena is kind of cute, Fred said about Lena. This made Daphne not happy. Fred! Daphne scowled. Jinkies! Velma exclaimed with shock. In Moonscar Island, there have been some people going missing on the island. No bodies were found in decades. That sounds creepy, Daphne replied. We better go before Lena takes off. The scene then cuts to Shaggy and Scooby, eating a huge sandwich as they always did. Come on, you guys. We found a haunted house to check out, Fred said to Shaggy and Scooby. As the scene fades to the gang following Lena in her pickup truck to drive to a ferry boat, the gang then drove into the ferryman, who was driving, and the ferry was named Jock. He was telling the stories about the pirates and the people going missing to the gang. Morgan Moonscar was a famous pirate of the bayou, Jacques said, as he talks about more stuff, but it was confusing about what has happened on the island, since he almost talked too fast. There's the island, Jacques said, as he let Lena and the gang out of the ferry with their vehicles. Hang on, the roads are a bit bumpy, Lena warned. The gang then followed Lena through the roads of Moonscar Island. It was very creepy. The swamp all looked like it was from the 1930s, but 10 times more creepier than it already is. In the distance, the movie shows a house that was coming into view. Wow, that's one haunted house, Daphne said, as Fred was holding a video camera, capturing every moment. When he sees a ton of cats around the property, Scooby went nuts by jumping out of the Mystery Machine and caused a riot. Scooby, leave him alone, Daphne called out to Scooby. Scooby, stop! Shaggy called as he grabbed Scooby-Doo by the collar as soon as he bumped into another woman who walked out of the house. Who brought this dog? A woman with short blonde hair asked as she pointed at Scooby. The gang then apologized to the owner of the house about Scooby. Then they explained about what they were doing here. So Lena explained to the owner of the house more stuff, and the woman introduced herself as Simone. Your house is beautiful, Daphne said. How old is it? Fred asked. It's been in the family for many generations, Simone explained. It was a pepper plantation. Some of the most hottest peppers grow on this island. So, Simone, is your house really, Velma began. Haunted? Simone asked Velma, interrupting her sentence. Yes, it is a haunted house with restless spirits. You can look around if you want. I would be most flattered if you're going to do the taping. With that being said, Lena explained to that their new gardener named Bo would be fixing the damage. So the gang looked at the house, while Scooby and Shaggy snuck into the kitchen to eat as usual. So far, this 1997 version of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island was interesting. It was just like the 1998 version of the movie, but since this was the beta, I was going to be more interested of what was going to happen next. The next scene shows Shaggy and Scooby eating the food, as they always did when they see food. The gang were then in the lounge area, where Shaggy and Scooby screamed. They screamed because of the fact that the peppers were so hot. A few minutes later, Shaggy and Scooby screamed again. Peppers, again, Daphne asked, sounding annoyed. Ruh-uh, writing, Scooby replied. Ghost writing! This place is haunted! Shaggy explained as the words writing was get out in the original movie. But in this beta version was more disturbing. I paused the movie and got to look at the writing more closely. It said, get out or you'll die. That was a bit disturbing for a kid's movie, so I just brushed it off. Daphne explained about the spirits in the mansion being haunted when a cold wind blew through Daphne. She shook her head. Cut! Who the hell opened the window? Daphne said. Sounded like she had a freak out. Although mild swearing in a kid's show was not bad, but there usually was never swearing in Scooby-Doo. I could see the writing. There was also something else written under the first writing. The second writing said, they're coming for you. Now that was even more disturbing than the first message. But I knew the house was haunted, so stuff like this was to be expected. Isn't this great stuff or what? Daphne said. She was getting excited at this point. She was into scary and freaky stuff, as I was into that too. The hauntings may only just be the beginning, but when the sun sets, the ghosts become even more creepy, Simone explained, as Fred then films Velma floating in the air. How was that even possible? Velma was getting weirded out by this, so Shaggy and Scooby pulled Velma down to the ground. The next scene then fades to the gang looking through the camera footage, and they took a better look at what was making on the writing appear. Fred is zoomed into the footage to see a ghost of Morgan Moonscar. Simone then shows a book to the gang of what was happening. We don't get scared that easily, Daphne said with excitement in her tone. The next scene then transitions to Scooby and Shaggy having a picnic near the outside garden. Then when Scooby sees the cats again, the chase goes on again. The scene goes on until a grouchy fisherman looked at Scooby. He was being a riot. You mutt, get him, Mojo, the fisherman said. Now, Mojo is the fisherman's haunted warthog in the original version of the movie, but in this beta version, Mojo wasn't a warthog, but instead he was a tiger. He chases Scooby as he ran past Shaggy, who looked around to see a tiger running very fast. Zoinks! Shaggy shrieked as he saw the tiger. So Shaggy and Scooby both ran as fast as they could so they can ditch the tiger. They soon fell into a deep hole as Shaggy and Scooby looked up to see the tiger roaring at them. As he walked away, Shaggy and Scooby then looked at the sky to see a zombie pirate, which was Morgan Moonscar, groaning and moaning. Shaggy and Scooby quickly jumped out of the hole, then ran away screaming until they bumped into the gardener. The gardener was pissed off. What the hell are you doing out here? Ruining my flower beds? Bao asked in anger, as Velma along with Daphne, Lena, Simone, and Fred appeared from the bushes. What's going on, you guys? Velma asked. We can hear you screaming from the house. We saw Pirate Moonscar, and he looked like a zombie, Shaggy explained. Oh dear, Simone said. Shaggy and Scooby then took the gang to see where they found the zombie. When they got to the hole and looked inside, are you sure you saw a zombie? Fred asked. We know a zombie when we see one, Shaggy replied. Velma then asked the gardener some questions, but he ignored them and walked away. He is kind of cute, Daphne said. Well, maybe we should get going, Fred suggested. Daphne replied that she didn't want to leave just yet, and Simone then offers the gang to spend the night in her haunted house, so the gang agreed with that. Lena said that she would get dinner started. When the scene fades to Lena showing the gang their rooms, Shaggy asks when dinner will be ready yet. I've never knew anyone who could eat as much as you guys, Lena chuckled. When Lena showed Fred his room, she flirted with him, to which Daphne was not happy with Lena flirting with her best friend. Thanks. Daphne turned around when she walked in her room to see that Lena was gone. Now Daphne's eyes were filled with tears, as I could tell Daphne was going to cry. I had a feeling that Lena was trying to steal Fred away from her. She had a crush on Fred at the same time Daphne does. The next scene then shows the gang in the dining room. Simone suggests Scooby to eat somewhere else. Then Lena made a suggestion for Scooby and Shaggy to eat inside of the mystery machine, to which they agree, and Shaggy and Scooby were seen inside eating the van when Scooby was getting pissed off with the cats being a nuisance. Shaggy then drove a van down the swamp to find a quiet area to eat. As they ate the hot pepper, the scene goes normal where Shaggy and Scooby ran into the swamp to drink some water. When Shaggy and Scooby looked to see a zombie crawling out of the ground, they began to see more zombies around the place. Shaggy and Scooby were able to drive down a few miles when the mystery machine got stuck. I could see the zombies looking very decayed. They even had some blood on their clothes and even some flesh was shown. This was getting a bit more disturbing, so I ignored it. The next scene then shows back at the haunted house, where the gang hears Shaggy and Scooby screaming. The hauntings are just the beginning, Simone said to the gang at the dining table. We better go find Shaggy and Scooby, Velma said. Fred agreed and said to Simone and Lena that they would be going out to find Shaggy and Scooby. Simone agrees as the scene transitions to Fred, Daphne, and Velma walking around the swamp. They soon ran into Bao, who said that they heard screaming, and when he mentioned that he ran into Shaggy and Scooby again, screaming about zombies. I'll go with Bo, Velma said, as she went with Bo, and Daphne and Fred both went together. The scene then was going very well and normal when Daphne opened the van doors and screamed. The scream sounded like Daphne was being stabbed by a killer. What the hell is this? Daphne shrieked. She could see that it was leftover dinner. I thought there was going to be a dead body or something, but luckily there wasn't. Fred climbed into the van to have a closer look. Well, I guess the guy's like your girlfriend's dinner, huh? She's not my girlfriend, Daph, Fred replied. I just said I enjoyed her cooking. Daphne then left something and grabbed her shoulder. As she was grabbed with the arm of someone, threw it over her shoulder. Daphne, are you? Fred was then cut off by Daphne's ranting. I can handle myself, thank you, Daphne replied. Fred got a closer look to see a zombie pirate. I think it's the gardener, Fred said. Well, we'll just see about that, Daphne said, as she tried to pull the head off of the body. Shaggy and Scooby then showed up and freaked out of the pirate zombie. It's pretty much just a mask. It's the cheesiest mask I've ever seen, Fred said, but Daphne couldn't pull the head off the zombie pirate. It feels real, Daphne replied. Fred then gave it a try, and within a few pulls, the head popped out, revealing some blood squirting out of the neck. Now that was disturbing. Why have that in a kid's movie? It's real, Fred was surprised. The headless body got up and picked up the head and placed it back on. Daphne and Fred were surprised to see more zombies appearing from everywhere in the swamp. Shaggy and Scooby ran away again. Then all of a sudden, Daphne and Fred heard a blood-curdling scream. The scream was from Lena, and it sounded like she was being gutted alive. It's Lena. We left her and Simone unprotected, Fred said as he and Daphne began to run again. Fred then dropped the video camera onto the quicksand and disappeared. Fred and Daphne began to run away from the zombies. The most disturbing thing is that the zombies were decayed and covered in blood. Now I was starting to get nervous about this freaky version of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. I mean, why would there be realistic zombies in a kids' movie? I continued to watch the movie as the Terror Time Again song began to play as the duos were running away from the zombies. Fred and Daphne then made up with Belle and Velma again, and then they explained of what was going on. Then another scene fades to Shaggy and Scooby, playing with dolls that looked like their friends. I wonder who made these dolls? Shaggy asked, as he and Scooby were soon chased off by bats. They soon ran into more zombies, and the next scene shows Daphne and Fred, along with Belle and Velma inside Simone's house. They were looking for Lena and Simone when Fred fell through a staircase. Lena explained about the zombies spotted her and Simone, as she also said that the zombies dragged Simone away. Lena was in Fred's arms at this point. Don't worry, we'll find her and it's going to be okay. Fred comforted Lena as he along with Velma, Belle, and Daphne walked through the tunnel. By the time they reached a voodoo ritual room, it was a trap. It's too late for you now, Simone chuckled evilly. She and Lena used the voodoo dolls and tied Fred and Daphne and Beau and Velma up. I'm sorry, Fred. I really do like you, Lena smirked evilly. Just what are you planning to do to us? Fred asked. It is very simple, Simone explained. She then soon faced the moon dial. Soon the midnight point is reached on this moon dial, and then the ceremony will begin, Simone replied. You won't get away with this, Daphne ranted, as she struggled to get free, as Simone and Lena both chuckled. We've been getting away with this for 200 years, Simone laughed as she and Lena started to transform into their werecat forms, which was only part of the transformation. At least Shaggy and Scooby are still free. Maybe, Fred whispered. We heard that, Fred, Lena scoffed. Those two pain in the asses. We didn't even give a crap about making voodoo dolls out of them. Lena then hissed. What the hell are you planning to do with us? Fred asked again. Every harvest moon, we drain the life out of those who are on the island, so we can be immortal, Simone explained. This is more haunted stuff than I ever imagined. Daphne was horrified along with her friends. The next scene then shows Shaggy and Scooby at the docks at the ferry, where they see Jacques walking towards them. I'm happy to see you all, Jacques chuckled as he transformed into a werecat. Shaggy and Scooby then started to run at this point, as the man werecat chased Shaggy and Scooby in the swamp. The next scene shows Simone along with Lena, Fred, Beau, Daphne, and Velma in the voodoo ritual room. Morgan Moonscar, he had caused all of this. Simone started to explain to the gang about the history of how Morgan Moonscar caused Lena and her to be who they are as of now. The flashback was taking place around the 1700s. Simone explained that she and Lena were settlers on the island, claiming to be their home. But when Morgan Moonscar and the pirates showed up on the island, they trashed the settlers' stuff and chased most of them into the bayou. But in this flashback was even more darker than the original movie. We see some of the settlers were being held back by some of the pirates who had held them back in the camping spot. Lena and Simone were seen hidden behind a tree to see the settlers that were in the bayou. Crocodiles were eating the settlers in the water, and the swamp became a bloodbath. Screams and cries can also be heard. Lena and Simone also gasped as they saw the settlers being eaten alive. Another thing Simone mentioned was much more disturbing. Simone explained that some of the settlers were being violated in many ways. So yeah, not going to say about what the pirates did to them, so you can imagine what has happened to them. We put a curse on the pirates, to destroy them as they destroyed our island. Our wish was granted, Simone explained, that she and Lena became cat creatures and killed all of the pirates. But after that, the cat god's power cursed them as well. Over the years, people still come to our island, Lena explained. Another flashback appears with spice traders and started a pepper plantation house. When the next harvest moon showed up, Lena and Simone explained that they lure people onto the island. Just like how you lured us, Fred explained. And those zombies are just the dead souls you've drained. They're just trying to warn us, Daphne said, as another cat shriek was heard. Sounds like Jacques has found your friends, Lena growled. The old man wanted to be immortal, so we gave it to him, Simone replied. The next scene then shows Scooby and Shaggy running until the cat creature appeared in front of them. Going somewhere? Jacques picked up Shaggy and Scooby and looked at them. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Jacques then roared at Shaggy and Scooby as the zombies walked towards the cat creature and started to tackle him. No, Scoob, this is our chance! Shaggy and Scooby ran away as soon as they can, and as soon as they ran inside a cave, they knocked Simone and Lena away from their tied-up friends. Look out! Velma said, as Shaggy and Scooby looked to see Simone and Lena getting up and growling. I had enough of that dog, Simone growled. I was surprised that Simone nearly almost said the F word. Simone and Lena then transformed fully into cat creatures and started to chase after Shaggy and Scooby. Velma grabbed one of the voodoo dolls and freed herself as she freed her friends from being tied up. The zombies had somehow found a way in the cave and they attacked the cat creatures. Shaggy, the zombies are the good guys, Daphne said, as Shaggy and Scooby were then chased by Jacques, who grabbed them. Scooby saw one of the peppers and sprayed juices on Jacques' eyes, who groaned in pain. Lena and Simone grabbed Shaggy and Scooby and started to drain their lives, as they were pulled away by all of a sudden force by Daphne and Velma, who made voodoo dolls out of them. Simone ran up to Daphne and looked at her with angry eyes. You know what, Daphne Blake? I'll just kill you, like what every creature does in a horror movie. Simone raised her right paw and gave Daphne's face a good swipe across the face. Daphne groaned in pain as she looked at Simone with scratch marks on her face. Her left eye had a cut and her eye was bleeding. Fred along with Belle made sure Shaggy and Scooby were okay, which they were good, thank goodness. Daphne was being scratched to death by Simone, as Daphne was trying to keep the beast off of her. Simone was attacking Daphne like a hunter from Left 4 Dead would do. Get it off of me! Get it off of me! Daphne screamed, as Fred shoved Lena out of his way and kicked the cat creature off of Daphne. Jacques, along with Lena and Simone, started walking towards Fred, Velma, and Bao. They soon started to smoke and decay. The curse was broken. They soon decayed into bone, and the zombies do the same. What's happening? Shaggy asked. Their spirits were decaying, Shaggy, Velma explained. They could finally rest in peace. With that being said, all the zombies and cat creatures were gone. The gang soon turned to see the beat-up Daphne. She had scratch marks and bruises on her. I saw a big gash was shown on Daphne's legs as her clothes were stained with blood. Hang in there, Daphne, Fred said as he held his best friend. We can get help. We can... Fred? Daphne asked weakly. Yes? Fred asked as his eyes started to water. You're my best... Daphne coughed as she looked at Fred, well held in one of her hands. Best friend that I've ever had, Daphne said. No, Daphne, don't do this. I can't lose you now. Fred started to sob. Fred, take care of the gang, Daphne replied, and I love you more than anything. Daphne said as she closed her eyes. Fred started to cry along with Velma, Shaggy, Scooby, and Bo. We're all crying at the loss of their friend. I started to cry a little myself, too. I think this movie wanted to kill off Daphne, but thankfully they didn't show this part in the movie. Well, the original one, that is. Then the last scene transitions to Fred looking at the sunset. I'm so sorry, Velma said, as she tried to comfort her friend. Fred then looked at the sunset. Oh, Daphne, Fred said sadly. Fred, a voice called out. Bo appeared and looked at Fred. Look who's back. Bo stepped to his side as Fred looked to see Daphne walking up towards Fred. She did have a bandage around her left leg where the huge gash was. She had a lot of scratches and her left eye was able to be open again. But even she had a black eye. What matters is that she's alive. Daphne! Fred ran up to Daphne and the two hugged each other. When they got close enough, I thought I'd never see you again. Bo knew I was alive, Daphne replied. He treated my wounds. Thank you, Fred said to Bo, for saving my girlfriend. Fred and Daphne looked at the sunset and the two finally kissed. The credits then rolled and then the phone screen went back to the iTunes store. After watching that in 1997 of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, I was surprised that I knew that this original version of the movie was dark, but I didn't expect the 1997 version of the movie to be more dark. Questions were inside my head. I am sure this 1997 version of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island wasn't released until the year after, due to graphic content and other things. I wasn't too disturbed by it, surprisingly. I decided that I would show it to my best friend, who used to love this movie. I went to bed that night and woke up and showed my best friend the 1997 version of Scooby Doo on Zombie Island. She was surprised by it as I was. I tried to find out about why Scooby Doo on Zombie Island, when the beta version, was 10 times darker than the original movie. I did have some theories on the movie. One of them is that maybe the cat creatures could be real. That I have no idea. I even thought of a theory about why the movie was 10 times more darker than the original version of the movie. That I know. Did the creators of the movie wanted to kill Daphne off? Maybe that's why Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island didn't come out in 1997 for that version. I still don't know why the movie wasn't released until 1997. But all I could say is, in my imagination itself, now that it's 2019, I still have the movie on my movie app store on my iPhone 7. Although if you want to see this 1997 version of Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, you'll have to come to Tallahassee, Florida, as I don't want to risk posting this on YouTube due to copyright reasons, and not to scare any young children or fans of the movie. I do watch this version of the movie from time to time, but not as much as I did back in 2017. I never got any nightmares from this version of the movie, and I will still remember this movie off by memory. What about Otis? I'm not sure what happened to him. I have never seen him again since that time, but I still wonder if he's still around, possibly still alive. Okay. Yeah. Hello there, Enchanted Silly Kid. Hello, Tommy. Oh, hey, Razor, how are you doing? It would make sense if Scooby-Doo creepypastas were real. Oh, yeah, that would be awesome. I actually would really like to see that. Hey, Jessica, how are you doing? That was pretty dark. Yeah, it sure was being pretty dark. Hello, Nick Cooper. And, yeah. Well, yeah, that was a pretty dark movie, CJB Studios. No offense, but you said the F word. Well, it's understandable, CJB Studios, but the F word doesn't really offend me. I don't see it very offending to me. I know some people are sensitive over swearing. I mean, this is no offense to anyone who is offended easily by swearing, but people really need to learn to deal with the fact that if people swear, it's fine. Swearing doesn't really offend me. Hell, people, cussing, the comment section of my vids and that, and I have no issue with that at all. Never did. What did Freddy say? I'm not sure what he did, Razor. But yeah, that was Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. Wow, that was a really long-ass story, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, I'm gonna chat with you guys for at least a couple more minutes and then I'll end the stream. So, yeah. I will make a better thumbnail for it, for Storytime with Linus. I'm just not sure when that will be, but if I get the time, I'll be sure to make a better thumbnail. I thought I would just do this because it's story books or whatever, kind of makes sense. Yeah, the creepypasta versions of respective shows, movies, and games are pretty interesting stories. Yeah, that's pretty true, Christopher. It kind of depends on the creepypastas, and it kind of depends on the story itself. I mean, this story, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, 1997 version, I wrote that back in 2019, and that's the story I'm really proud I made. I'm very proud of myself for making it. Although, yeah, there were some flaws, but despite that, it's still pretty good, to be honest. That's fine with me. I just want my channel to be family friendly when it comes to comments. Speaking of which, I have 190 free subs. Oh! Congratulations, you're almost close to 200, CJB Studios. Can you do a Loud House story on stream? Maybe another time I could do that, Jessica. Maybe another time. Will Shadow Reader make another video? I don't know, Jessica, because he doesn't do creepypastas anymore. Unfortunately, he doesn't do them anymore. He finds them to be boring, but I don't find creepypastas to be boring. Maybe just a little bit, but that's because, there are new ones nowadays. they're just not that really good. But I mean, that's no offense to any of the offers or anything. But there are some stories that managed to do something good. Oh, the Windows one. I remember that one. He made that one, I believe, in 2018. Whack-a-mole. That was on his old channel. I still want to reach 500. You'll get there eventually, CJB Studios. I'm sure you'll get up there eventually. It took me a couple years to get me up to 100K subs. It took me a couple years. Well, it took me about 8 years. Because back in 2020, I think it was in June, I got up to, 1K subs, which was awesome. Yeah, you could try to do creepypastas if you want to, CJB Studios. I'm pretty sure they're pretty good. And I'm pretty sure you'll enjoy them too if you give them a go. Like, it's something you could try something new if you wanted. Alrighty, well, yeah, I'll be ending the stream in the next 10 minutes, so I thought, I'd chat with you guys for a little bit before I end this stream. Here's what I'm going to be doing for, story time streams. Hello, Razor. Welcome. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be chatting for a little bit at the beginning, and then read a story, and then I'll chat with you guys a little bit. Depending on how long the story is, I might do multiple stories. Like, if the story is, I read, like, a creepypasta or something's, like, I don't know, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I can read another one. But if it's a long one, like the Scooby-Doo one that I narrated, then it'll probably just be one or maybe two, depending on how I feel. Just thought I would, let you guys know about that. And then after that, I'm going to be sitting there and, chatting with you guys at the end before I end the stream. If that sounds good. It's understandable, It's understandable, CJB Studios. I know not everybody does narrating. Some things are not for everyone. That's the thing. Sure, Whack-a-Mole, you can give it a shot. I mean, trying new content and new things is always a good thing, to experiment with your channel. That's what I do. So, I'll probably do Witch's Ghost on another stream. I don't know when that will be, though, but I will do Witch's Ghost on another stream. Probably Alien Invaders as well, but I don't know yet, though. If you guys want me to do Fantasy Bears and Left 4 Dead, I mean, for a live stream, where I narrate the whole thing, I mean, not gonna lie, that story was kind of cringe, because I wrote that back in 2018, but I'm considering doing, like, a re-narration, but I'm not too 100% sure, though. Like, not re-narration or anything, but kind of like a rewrite, but I'm not 100% sure if I ever will get the time to do it, but my grammar wasn't that great back then, but until I started, using Google Docs more often, and that's got to where I am today. Alrighty. Hello, James Nostalgic Media, welcome. I miss when creepypastas about paranormal. I dislike how they use the same haunted DVD or VHS format. Yeah, it's unfortunate they're starting to become the same nowadays, Razor. That's kind of why I don't really read shitty creepypastas anymore. Well, I do read shitty pastas once in a while, but not as frequent. I'm not doing it as frequent as I did at one point, because most pastas suck nowadays. No offense to any of the writers. What if you're reading a story that has more than one chapter? I will be fine with that, depending on how long it is, CJB Studios. It kind of depends on how long it is. That I can definitely tell you that, so. But yeah, I mean, it sucks that creepypastas are using the same exact format over and over again. I mean, that's kind of why Lost Episode pastas and Lost movie pastas. They're honestly starting to become the same, and they're kind of hard to write new ones nowadays, or even good ones, if it makes any sense. Whoa, boy. I hope you enjoyed this my narration of it on stream, the Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island story. I mean, if you want to share this stream with, more people, you are more than welcome to. Creepypastas be like, guys, I found a spooky episode that have 600 nightmares. So the episode was a spooky episode of SpongeBob, and it has hyper-realistic blood and balls. That's exactly what creepypastas are in a nutshell nowadays, Zeronex. You can't be more right than that. I definitely agree with that. Can you do a narration of the real reason why the David Park with Barney closed? I have not seen that episode, James, but if I could find it, I might consider reading it one day. I'm thinking about contacting St. Nicholas Music Inc., asking if they have any international of the songs from the Rudolph movie, with Good Times distributing their music. Oh, that's interesting. I'm pretty sure they have more versions if they dub them, Razor. Instrumentals. Oh. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna be chatting with you guys for at least a couple more minutes before I end the stream. So, yeah. Yeah. There's also exists sheet of music of Show Me the Light. Oh, nice. My YouTube channel is a mixed content channel. That's pretty much what my creepypasta is. I'm writing a creepypasta called The Wiggles. Oh, that's nice. The big red car accident. That's awesome, James. If you could send me a link to that story when it's finished, maybe I can give it a read if I come across it. Because I used to watch The Wiggles as a kid. In fact, I'm actually going as one of the characters for Halloween. Maybe when I do a community post for those who have access to it, I can maybe show you the character I'm going to be for Halloween. I mean, most of you guys probably know who it is. My channel has reviews, face reveals, plush videos, butt jokes, and sometimes more. Well, it's a pretty good idea to, experiment with different content. I do different content too, like I do Speakonia videos, I do Uberdug videos, Linus Sponge vids. I do a variety of content, and I just don't want my content to solely be on creepypastas. If that makes any sense, which most of the time it does, because it's a good idea to expand your channel more often and just try different type of content. Just trying something new always is a good thing. I'm not saying you have to try new things, but if you do more different things more often, you'll eventually, can experiment with what content you like the most in that. If it makes any sense. But yeah. Yeah, so I actually wrote a creepypasta story about 2 parodies of the TXH text trailer. And to be honest, I don't think it's really that good. Would you like to read it someday? Sure, CJB Studios. If you want to send them to me, the ones you wrote that I can read, feel free to do so. I heard a lot about those. I mean, I think those are going to be the only ones I'll narrate are from, your stories, CJB Studios. Because most of them I did see, on Spin Pasta are not that good. Just in my personal opinion. I mean, if people like those stories, that's fine. That's just how I think. I like your Speakonia videos as well as your creepypasta videos. Glad you do Advocacy Wolf, Pink Wolf. Did you guys also like the recent Speakonia video I did? It's called Drew Pickles and Patrick Meet the Incredibles or something. Yeah, I made that one because, someone hasn't done a Drew Pickles video with the Incredibles, so I thought, I'd go ahead and do it. Yeah, and I had the pube Muppet causing trouble, like him taking a dump in the trash can, and then try to blame Patrick when meanwhile he did it, but then Mr. Incredible threatens to throw him into the Wiggles box. Yeah, I'm only going to be saving toilet humor for Spegonia videos because Spegonia uses a lot of crude humor in their videos. They use a shit ton of crude humor. I mean, I've seen a lot of Barney Bunch videos, so I know that's crude humor. It's pretty much akin to South Park, if it makes sense. Here's a link of a school choir singing that. Oh, I remember that. That's actually been a pretty good song. I really wished my elementary school performed that or something. That would have been awesome. Have you seen Bluey season 3 yet? No. Thanks, pun intended. Alright. So I'm going to be ending the stream in a few more minutes. So does anyone have anything to say before, I end the stream? Does anyone have any questions? I also found the sheet on eBay if you want to buy it. I don't really trust eBay because I heard you can get ripped off from it sometimes. That's just from what I think personally. Have you heard of Hollywood Undead? Somewhat, yes, but I haven't watched it. God damn it, I just joined less than 10 minutes ago. Well, James, I'm pretty sure that you could catch the next stream. Maybe you'll be there longer the next time you catch a stream. Because, yeah, most of my streams usually go for an hour or so, depending on how my mood is, and depends on how I feel. So, if you guys want to share the video to people to leave the stream a like, or if you have not left a like on the stream, be sure you do so right now. So, yeah, does anyone have any questions or anything they want to ask me? I think I remember this one Spegonia dream where the Barney Bunch went to Zootopia. I bet Barney Bunch Drew Pickles would probably turn into Drewtopia and unleash their swellness on there. Hey, that's an idea. I could make a Drew Pickles Goes to Zootopia video. Ooh, it's a band. I did not know that, CJB Studios. Alrighty. So, yeah. Apologies for that. My brother was playing stuff in the background, and I just didn't want to get copyrighted because it was copyrighted music. So yeah. What are your thoughts on Lisa Garcia? She's a pretty cool individual. She's cool. I know she doesn't comment much on my streams or in videos or community posts, but she does pop by and say, "Oh, nice stuff." I think she's awesome. I've known her, I believe, since 2019 or 2020. Around that time, I started seeing her pop on my channel, and she's pretty chill. I like Lisa Garcia. She's pretty good individual, pretty cool user. So, yeah. I guess the streams I think when we get to the 1 hour and 25-minute mark, I think that's when I'll end the stream. So you guys have until then to ask me anything. If you have any questions you want to ask me, or if you have any suggestions, etc. I wish the videos I posted would get more views. Sadly, 14 years ago, sadly I was 14 years too late to join to the bandwagon. I see. Austin's Big Secret was a good creepypasta because it was fake. Oh yeah, Austin's Big Secret. I mean, that one I remember BC Network wrote, and that one was actually a pretty good story, like Austin's Big Secret. I mean, I do like part 1, but part 2 and part 1 are blowing up in views like crazy on my channel. Like, I did not expect to get that views many quickly. Actually considering reading one of them for my backup someday. But after I get some Scooby-Doo creepypastas out of the way, like I'm gonna be doing more chapters of Friday the 13th, and after that story I'll be doing the Nightmare on Elm Street, and then I'll be doing Dead Frontier. Then after that I will look into doing more creepypastas. So, yeah. If it makes any sense. I mean, most of you guys may know, but, Well, I know there wasn't really a lot of people here. I think they're just busy, which is understandable. Well, my videos do barely get views, but I just don't care about views at this point. I'm just here to have fun. That's all I'm really trying to do I'm just only on YouTube to have fun and interact. I don't care about money. I don't care about, the views. All I care about is just hanging out, enjoying the company of you guys, and chatting with people and etc. Yeah, I understand that CJB Studios, but she could be just busy with stuff. Like, she could be busy with her home life, which is understandable. I mean, I understand she's busy in that, so which is kind of why she's not really active. But I think she's going to try and be more active as possible. So, to be honest, I don't care about views at all. I did this for archival purposes. Well, that makes sense, Razor. That does make sense. So, anyways, guys, I think I am gonna sit here and say Creepypastas Be Like Part 2, and then intro starts with scary music like Lavender Town. Yeah, you could be no more right than that, Zernex, because, yeah, that's the problem with creepypastas, unfortunately, nowadays. So, anyways, yeah, I'm gonna be going ahead and end the stream right now, since we've been live for about an hour and 26 minutes, so I want to sit here and say thank you so much for joining my stream on my first episode of Storytime with Lioness stream. So, yeah, where we read Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. Yeah. Creepypastas Be Like My Game started to lacking gain. Yep. Okay, that works, CJB Studios. I may consider about it. Yeah, it's understandable, Whack-A-Mole. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream right now. So if you're new to my channel, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications to when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. I also want to thank you so much for joining my first episode of Storytime live stream with the Lion Queen. I don't know when I will be streaming again. Hopefully, maybe later this month. If not, it'll be sometime in October. But I'm not going to guarantee when that will be yet, though. So, want to thank you so much for joining. And as always, I will be catching you all in the next video. And yeah, be sure to, follow my, social media, such as, DeviantArt, Twitter, Discord, wherever you guys have me on or anything like that. So you guys can, interact with me and stuff. Also, be sure to subscribe to my Evil Maleficent channel if you have not, because that's my backup channel where I do some creepypastas, and it's also a backup channel in case if something were to happen to this one, which I don't see that happening right now or anything. But I will, say that's where I post horror stories and that. So, anyways, I will be seeing you all in the next video, and this is the Lion Queen, and I'll be signing off. See you all later.